Hello everyone, my name is Myra Gonzalez and I'm going to be presenting the theory in action um, for this week's discussion board. Our first individual that we have is Wilson's dichotomy. And in this theory constructs the boundaries of public administration and asserts the normative relationships between elected officials and administrators in a democratic society. So what this means is that the political sphere um, is only determined by the elected officials. So that process um, does not include any public administrators. So, for example, a city manager would be an example of a public administrator that sits outside of the political sphere of council members, for example. Taylor's scientific management. Um, so Taylor was a mechanical engineer and a management consultant, and so he was able to provide insight on um, public administration because of his roles and the duties that he was in. Um, in his scientific management, he understood that to make organizations more standard, efficient, and productive would be beneficial for that organization. Scientific management was the term that Mr. Taylor used, which means applying science to work. He did this by analyzing workflows, and the main objective was to improve economic efficiencies, especially in labor productivity. American political scientists Luther Gulick and the British management consultant Lyndall Urwick elaborated on a management idea in their management paper, and out of that management essay that they wrote, they came up with an acronym um, which indicates those universal functions which every administrator should accomplish. Uh, so, in other words, the acronym stands for tasks to be performed by the chief executive in the organization. And what this means is that the acronym stands for planning, organization, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. Max Weber's bureaucracy um, is the basis for a systematic formation of an organization, and it is designed to ensure efficiency and economic effectiveness. The characteristics of a bureaucracy um, mean that, for example, hierarchy of authority is the control of levels that is controlled by the level above. So authority and responsibilities are clearly defined for each position. So you have for example, in a city entity, you would have your city manager at the top of the pyramid structure. Then you would have the executive team to follow, followed by all of the staff. So that would be the hierarchy. Division of labor, um, which means that tasks are clearly defined and employees become skilled by specializing in doing one thing. This is a clear definition of authority and responsibility. Formal selection process, employee selection and promotions are based on experience, competence, and technical qualifications demonstrated by examination, education, or training. And then we have career orientation. Management is separated from ownership, and managers are career employees. Protection from arbitrary dismissal is guaranteed. We also have rules and regulations. Rules and regulations are documented to ensure reliable and predictable behavior. Managers must depend on formal organizational rules and employee relations. And then we have impersonality. Rules are applied uniformly to everyone. There is no favoritism. Miss Mary Follett. She was a woman ahead of her time. She was an American social theorist known for introducing ideas about human relations to the workforce. Her theory was out of organized behavior, and through her holistic approach, brought humanizing factors into the workplace. She has principles of coordination. Ms. Follett practiced these principles of coordination that helped develop her theory management through contact. Direct contact between employees and managers helps organizations avoid conflict and misunderstandings. Early stages, coordination should be learned and mastered straight away. So right away. Reciprocal relationship, every worker, regardless of their level and hierarchy, is responsible for pulling their own weight and integrating with the rest of the organization. And then continuous process coordination must be maintained. Do not just let it and forget about it. Channel in it is everything you do. Channel it in everything you do. And lastly, we have Herbert Simon, who was famous for what is known to us as the theory of bounded rationality, and the theory about economic decision making that Simon himself preferred to call as satisficing, and a combination of two words, which is satisfy and sulface. Bounded rationality is the idea that when an individual makes a decision, the rationality is limited by the traceability of the decision problem. Um, Rationality is bounded because there are limits to our thinking capacity, available information, and time. So people in many different situations seek something that is good enough, something that is satisfactory. So, for example, when you go shopping, individuals aspire to something that they find acceptable, although that may not be necessarily be ideal. So they look through things in sequence, and when they come across an item that meets their aspiration level, they go for it. This is real world behavior, is what Simon called satisficing. So this is concludes my presentation for this week. Thank you so much.